All right, guys, welcome back. So far, the videos have been pretty good. Channel's been going well. I'm getting a lot of feedback from friends and family that's saying that they're enjoying the videos, so that's good. Seems to be serving its purpose. So we've had a very busy last couple days. Aidan has officially started preschool, which he does not go to preschool, they come to us. I explained in the last video, we have 6 more therapy sessions that now come to the house, but they co-treat, so 2 will come at a time. So technically we added 3 more therapy sessions on top of what he already does with through the Children's Hospital. So it's been busy. Then we just had Snowmageddon hit us. We luckily survived that after shoveling the driveway 4 times. All in all, everything's been going really good. He has been showing incredible progress with standing. I think I've got some more videos coming out soon. And these videos are not necessarily always in order, kind of backtracking some. I know I don't always get time to film content. It's good for me to film and to track his progress, but at the same time, I need to be present there with him during therapy to keep him motivated, to keep him active, you know, just kind of keep him on track. So I don't film every therapy session that we do with him. I try to get as much content as possible, but I try to be reasonable about it because at the end of the day, the focus is always on Aidan during these sessions. So talking about his progress, I kind of want to backtrack even more and talk about how we got here. Honestly, I've tried to make this video a couple times. There's so much to it and so many fine details that I lose track. I get lost in thought. I tried even thinking of a script. It's just, I'm just gonna wing it at this point. So talking about before we had Aidan, the pregnancy was fairly normal. Once we got toward the end, around 37, 38 weeks, we had scheduled an OB appointment because we just thought maybe Marie was carrying a bunch of extra fluid. Just want to make sure everything was fine and go from there. So had the OB appointment, and then we went to imaging to do an ultrasound. And during that time frame, we noticed that the ultrasound tech was focusing a lot on Aidan's head, which was kind of odd. And then when she had gotten the images, the tech had told us that the doctor would come in and see us before we left. We kind of thought that was odd because we had several ultrasounds and it was always have the OB appointment, do the ultrasound, then go home. We never waited to speak to the doctor after the ultrasound. So that is where our entire world shifted. The doctor came in with a look on her face that was just pure devastation. Marie panicked, I panicked, and she just told us that something was wrong. We didn't know exactly what yet. You know, how do you react to that? So, you know, immediately you think of the worst, and that's where our minds were for the next several weeks. So after that appointment, we got scheduled for internal fetal medicine at another hospital. And it was kind of like an awkward, hour or 2 wait before we had to go to there. So I believe we came home and then, you know, just kind of lost in our own thoughts, not knowing how to process this or what kind of more news we were gonna get. I went to the appointment and Marie had a fetal MRI that did images, and I'll try to include pictures and images along the way just to kind of further explain. So if those pop up on screen, then you know, I'm able to add those. So we got the MRI images, and the doctor told us that part of his brain was missing. So I just immediately remember, you know, sinking my face into my hands and just like, how do you process this? You know, you're thinking you're about to welcome this beautiful baby boy into the world, and you have all these thoughts of how it's gonna go, and watching him grow and develop, and all of that just comes crashing down for us. And again, we still didn't know what to expect. You know, we didn't know the extent of how bad this was, and you know, along the way, we had to make a lot of very tough decisions trying to advocate for him. So from getting, you know, that news from internal fetal medicine, we also found out he was missing his right eye. He had a recessed jaw, which explained the extra fluid, because like when a baby's in the womb, they're swallowing fluid and then it's coming back out, and it's just a repetitive process. That was not happening with him. So that led to the doctors not knowing if he would even be able to breathe on his own. So we had to schedule a Marie to be induced because the doctors wanted every specialist available that we may possibly need there during that time. So we scheduled it, we went in, you know, Marie's family's there, we had a chaplain there, just trying to prepare for the worst, because that's what we were told to expect, was to expect the worst. So started the process. I think Marie went through about 18 hours of labor. Then Aidan's heart rate would start to drop. They would have to reposition Marie, and it got so bad to the point that one of the nurses actually called a code, and probably, I don't know, it felt like 200 nurses and doctors came rushing. It wasn't really that many, but like several nurses and doctors came rushing into the room. They pushed Marie's parents out, and they had warned us about a emergency C-section. If that were to happen, there's a lot of risks to it. The room doesn't have time to be sterilized. There's a higher risk of infection, and it's overall more dangerous. So I was able to, you know, kind of get everybody to, you know, stop, take a breath. Aidan's heart rate got back to normal. And my biggest concern at that point was we were already planning on losing our son. I did not want to lose my wife in the process. And it's not about picking and choosing, it's about trying to make the best decision in the time that we had, the time that we were working with. And just, you know, being thrown into that situation, I don't know that I would have acted any differently. I don't know if I would have made any other decision, but the fact is, with everything we knew at that time, I did not want to lose both my wife and son. So they gave us a moment to speak, to make a decision, and ultimately it was Marie's decision. She opted to do a C-section, scheduled C-section, where they could properly prepare the room. And it was our last ditch effort to save Aidan's life. So they get it ready, we go into the room, the doctors start doing their job, and Marie gets doped up, John Mayer's playing in the background, and I see the doctor, you know, lift Aidan up, and she asked me if we had a name, and we did not have a name yet. We had two names. We had not decided, but without even missing a beat, I said Aidan, because it felt right in the moment. So that's when Aidan got his name, and then I saw the doctor hand him over to another doctor, who took him over to a little observation table, looked at him. He then handed him to a nurse who walked him over to me, and I was standing at the foot of the table by Marie's head. And I remember asking the nurse if he was going to survive, and she just shook her head no. So I'm trying to be as strong as possible in this moment. The absolute worst moment of my life. And I grabbed Aidan, held him for the first time, and I lowered him down to Marie and told her that we needed to say goodbye. I'm standing there holding Aidan. He is as blue as can be. He's not breathing, he's not talking. He was stillborn when they handed him to me. So, you know, as we're saying hello, we're also saying goodbye. Marie is sitting there apologizing profusely, saying, "I'm sorry, Baba." And then he opened his eye. He looked at us, he started to breathe, make little sounds, and his color started to come. He started to turn pink, and we had a nurse that was taking photos and getting some videos for us. I just remember seeing her sprint out of the room, and then the room came to a stop because nobody could believe what they were hearing. I found out later that nurse ran straight to Marie's parents and told them that he survived. I believe the doctors took him back now that he was breathing and he was alive. Started to get him cleaned up a little bit. Marie got stitched up. We got taken back out of the room, back to a recovery room. And we just started, we were able to enjoy being a family of three, you know, not knowing what the future held for us. So worst possible scenario with the best possible outcome. Absolutely amazing. This is where in my mind, the time all runs together. From the recovery room, we got moved to another room, and that's when, you know, Marie was coming down off the meds. She was feeling, you know, very sick from the meds. I'm learning how to change diapers. We're getting Aidan fed, and then we were there for maybe a day or two, and Aidan had to get transferred to the NICU at that hospital because he was having an apnea problem. He needed to be put on oxygen. And then with all his other host of issues, they just wanted a closer eye on him. Because we also discovered after he was born that he had a cleft palate. Cleft palate is not a cleft lip. I know some people get them confused. His lips were fine. It was just the inside, the top of his mouth opened up straight to his nasal passage. So because of that, he could not suck. So bottle feeding was not an option at that point. So that was at that hospital. That's when he had gotten the NG tube, a feeding tube, essentially. So once we were up there in the NICU at that hospital, we were told that he was going to be transported to the local children's hospital. That became a fiasco because he kept getting pushed back further and further and further. When I called to find out what was going on, I basically had somebody told me that he was not essential, and that did not go over well. He was on the next transport to the children's hospital after I spoke to some people. And then that started our 35 days in the NICU at the children's hospital. From there, we did all kinds of blood work, genetic testing, audio testing, which he failed his audio testing, but we just found out that he needed to get tubes in his ears. That fixed that. The feeding became a bigger problem. They opted for us to get a G tube, which is a tube in his stomach that goes straight to his stomach, so he can be tube fed. So we did opt for that, which he still has to this day, but that is only used for medication and sometimes getting fluids if he hasn't drank enough throughout the day, but he's not tube fed. Aidan eats all of his food by mouth, and he does it very quickly. He loves food. So let's see, we still had tons of neurology appointments, a lot of more scans to try to figure out his brain. The part of his brain that was missing was not actually missing. It's a large arachnoid cyst. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's a cyst. It's full of cerebral spinal fluid, and it was on both sides. And the images that you see, those are just layers. So that is not his entire brain. It is just a layer of his brain. There is brain around it. His brain is malformed, but he's still able to do plenty. The challenge became managing that arachnoid cyst because they didn't know if it was hydrocephalus or if it was just a stagnant cyst that was not going to grow. We also discovered a mass above his brainstem that we feared was a tumor at first, and if the problem we faced with that is if it grew, it was going to compress his brainstem, and then it would start to affect his nervous system, his breathing, and then they already told us that surgery on it was not an option because of the bundle of veins that were in it. It just wasn't operable. Luckily, it turned out to be just a hamartoma, benign growth that was not going to grow. If it does grow, it's going to grow consistently with him as he gets bigger. It's not going to grow to the point where it was going to compress on his brainstem and cause any issues. So we're in the clear with that. The cleft palate was something we could figure out later with a cleft palate repair. The feeding we had gotten figured out. Figuring out and managing his seizures was one of the biggest focuses. His seizures, we did not see them right away. We couldn't tell. We didn't know how to manage them. We didn't know how to treat them. That was probably one of our biggest struggles. Once we were able to understand them a little bit more, we started to be able to see them when they were happening. And we tried to give him some kind of like external exposure, like a pinch to the cheek or rubbing him or holding him or something, try to get him out of it. We experimented with a bunch of different medications. We finally got on some that we felt comfortable enough to, that were having some type of effect. That we worked on that much later after we got out of the NICU as well. So seizures were managed to an extent. Feeding we had a plan for. The breathing was an issue that we had discussed. We had one doctor that was pushing getting a trach put in. We did not feel it was necessary. That was another big decision that we opted to not have the trach, and they pushed hard for it. We said no, and when we did bring him home, we brought him home on an oxygen concentrator. It was this big blue machine. I think I have a video of it. And he didn't need a lot of oxygen, he just needed a little help. Being that he was hypotonic, having low muscle tone, he even had struggled to control his tongue, so when he would sleep, his tongue would fall back. So that led into a whole another thing where, when you have your first kid, they preach safe sleep. Safe sleep was never a thing with Aidan. We had him in the crib with a bunch of tubes and wires. He was also hooked up to a pulse ox. We had wedge mats that positioned him onto his side, and he stayed on his side so that his tongue wouldn't fall back. And then, like I said, the pulse ox so that we can monitor his breathing and his stats. But that was a challenge too, because when he had seizures, he did not destat. The only way at night to feel if he was having a seizure was if we were holding him. So eventually, feeding, seizures, we had the ear tubes figured out. We had a plan moving forward for the cleft palate, the oxygen, the imaging for his brain. That was something that was going to have to be managed moving forward. We got this to a point where we were sitting in, we had several meetings with doctors all the time. They were like panel meetings. It'd be me and Marie in a room with 15, 20 doctors, them all asking us questions, using terms that we didn't understand, because Aidan had so many small diagnoses, but we didn't have an overall diagnosis for what he has. The doctors had straight up told us that they had never seen it before. Some of them even told us to go buy a lottery ticket. Maybe that's how rare this was. But in one of those meetings, I asked them if there was anything terminal with Aidan, and they couldn't give me a straight answer. You know, it was no, not that they could think of. So then my next question was, why are we still here? It had been over a month at this point that we were in the NICU. We were ready to come home. We were ready to bring our boy home, and they agreed. So there was they wanted a couple more days to finalize some things, just figure out some more minor tests to do, and then we would have follow-up appointments with neurology, neurosurgery, audiology, set up appointments with feeding and speech and all types of things, you know, get us set up on the palliative. Well, it was hospice at first, actually. We ended up bringing him home on hospice. We found out on December 17th that we were going to be bringing him home on the 19th. And we had been at the hospital so much, you know, we weren't focused on us, we weren't focused on the house. We didn't have a Christmas tree. Fun fact, the closer you get to Christmas, the cheaper a Christmas tree is, and the more dead it is. But we rushed out to a place and found a tree, and we got it set up, and when Aidan came home, he had his first Christmas tree. And then, you know, before we knew it, we were leaving the hospital, and we brought our boy home. And when we got home, we had some of our home care team, nurses, meet us at the house. They helped us get set up with everything. But after everything we had gone through, from that last OB appointment to not knowing what was going to happen to Aidan, to him being born and him surviving, and then Marie's recovery, and then making it to the NICU at the Children's Hospital, and just taking that long, long walk from the parking garage to the NICU every single day. You know, after having to leave our son there every single night, come home, wake up, do it again, we finally brought him home, and we just started enjoying being a family. So there's plenty more to go from here. You know, he had neurosurgery, he had his cleft palate surgery. Getting him put on the keto diet, that was a whole ordeal. The keto diet was another thing that we used to manage his seizures. It's a medicinal keto diet that my wife has absolutely mastered and I know nothing about. Therapies, more complex care appointments, getting all his vaccines, which that we had to do very slowly because the vaccines would affect his seizures. Long nights of seizures, using rescue meds, figuring out which rescue meds were best for him, and all the steps in between there that finally got us to this point that we're at a good point where Aidan has good days and we have long therapy sessions, and Aidan's now starting to make improvements. Could not be more thankful for the home care team that we have, or the doctors, everybody we met along the way. And moving forward, we're very optimistic about where we're going with this. So Aidan keeps improving. We're figuring him out as much as we can. He learns new stuff almost daily. He's growing, he's getting so big, and he's getting strong. And that's the most important thing, is that he continues to develop, and we're right there with him by his side. From the very beginning through all the hell that we went through to where we're at now, Aidan has absolutely crushed it. and he's just gonna keep amazing us from here. We're looking forward to seeing him grow and all the progress he's gonna keep making. So thank you guys for watching again. I know this video was very detailed. I probably left some things out here and there. Like I said, it's a lot of information, but that's the overall story. That's, you know, from when we started to where we're at now. I hope that the video is not too long. I hope you guys stuck around. And I know a lot of family and friends know most of that story. There may have been some more information in there that you guys did not know. Maybe you guys have questions on it. If you have my phone number, you guys always text us. We love to talk about it. We're not ashamed to talk about anything with Aidan's journey, Aidan's story. Sometimes we get a little too much into it because somebody's curious, they'll ask us a question, and we talk too much. We give them more information they ever intended of knowing. But you know, we love our son. We love everything about him, and we are so damn proud of him, and we have just been through a ton. So feel free to comment on the video, ask questions that way. I would love to answer it. You know, I could even do videos of Q&As and whatnot. So yeah, thanks again for sticking around. Thanks for watching the video. Thanks for supporting this. There are more videos to come. We'll see you guys.
You